Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How are
Hey.
y'all?
Doing great.
Staying warm, I hope.
Oh, yes. About 30 minutes ago, one of my part of the house went out. And I'm like, oh, Lord, is this a sign? So I went to the breaker and flipped the breaker, and it came right back on. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. But I mean, it's sad because a lot of my family, their electricity been out since Sunday,
Yes.
and then not to have water. I'm like, oh my God.
Uh-oh. You didn't crash, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, no.
Totaled the truck. This
Oh,
drivable is totaled.
dang. I'm sorry to hear that.
I took out 10 feet of guardrail with the left side of the truck. It's me. And the funny thing is, I was only doing about 45.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's slick out there.
I was on my way to Waco to file my taxes with my sister, who's a CPA.
Work.
Hmm?
You got work.
I was.
You'd have to come in for this.
I wanted to.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
but you gotta make money too.
No. Our computers are down. We can't get on the Hyundai website,
Oh, really?
so I can't look up some things that I need to look up.
Hey, Craig,
Yes, ma'am.
did you hear that Rendon call about an hour ago?
Is that the one? I don't know any details, but I did. Mayor was telling me about it. I was actually out at one of the well sites. So I didn't hear the traffic, but he was telling me about it. I wish
Oh my goodness.
I'll have to figure out the details on that one.
Hey, Susie.
How are you today?
Good. I like your little friend.
When he decides he wants attention, he sits up here, and in a minute, he's going to lean over and slam himself into my arm. Hey, right. It's Barney. Rotten cat. I got him when he was teeny weeny, and I'd let him sleep up here on my chest.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's full grown, and he still likes to get up. When I'm leaning back in the chair watching a movie, he says, "Ooh!" So here he comes. Can't see, can't breathe.
He's pretty.
Fun. Thank you. He's a fun kitty. Yes, you are. Oh,
Oh.
that's what he does. He's a good kitty. Rotten outfit. How are you today?
We're good. Is this going to be your spring break?
You know, somebody posted on Facebook yesterday, I think, this 4-day weekend, last weekend. This 4-day weekend is starting out like spring break last year.
Uh-huh.
Say that. Oh.
I thought maybe the schools would make this spring break and go to school on spring break.
Well, they may be thinking that, but a lot of people have already made plans across spring break. A lot of people leave the country for that week.
Yeah, that's true.
What I'm thinking they will probably do, because it's just about statewide, is put in a waiver for requesting not having to make up those 7 work days.
Yeah.
And this is in the middle of testing season, so I'm 7 days behind.
We're good. She's on.
Going into work doing stuff.
No,
Jeez.
I know better than pull it up live here. I just pull up the agenda.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay, muted, Craig.
Yes, we're unmuted there.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the emergency meeting for February the 18th to order. Some members of the city council may participate via telephone or video conference. A quorum may or may not be physically present in the city council chambers. Texas Government Code 551.127A-2. Citizens wishing to make comments should email mcparks80@gmail.com. That's mcparks80@gmail.com. Citizens' comments received prior to the viewing of the meeting adjourned will be read to the council. First item is discussion, winter weather emergency and infrastructure update. Craig Spencer.
Lucky me. All right, as y'all are already aware, we've had a winter weather event for the last several days that has just wreaked havoc on a lot of systems, both private and public infrastructure. We wanted to call an emergency meeting to give everybody an update on the effects to the public infrastructure in the system and what we're doing right now. The mayor has already declared a state of emergency and a disaster declaration for the city. County judge has done the same on the county level. Governor has done the same on the state level, and the president has done the same for us as well. So what does that mean? That means that activates a lot of further assistance to all entities of local government and state government, to include financial assistance, as well as any additional resources or assets that we may need to request. It also means that we have to enact our emergency management plan and start tracking things financially, start tracking the impact that this disaster is going to have on the city. And about 2 days ago, we thought that impact was going to be fairly minimal. But now that some things have occurred and changed, that impact is starting to grow to be a little bit more significant, which is why we're bringing council together today to make sure that you are in the loop of exactly what's going on. So I'm going to try to summarize this as best as possible. There's several contributing factors. The biggest issue that we've had is with our water system. There's several contributing factors to the issues that we're having with our water system. One of those being high demand. We are seeing an increase in demand in water, and that's mainly due to residents and businesses are opening their faucets and allowing them to drip, and that's to prevent pipe breaks. One dripping faucet equals about 5 gallons per day, and we have approximately 2,000 water accounts. So that accounts for roughly, if just one faucet is used at each water account, that accounts for 10,000 additional gallons per day, an increase in usage over what we would normally see. We know that most residents and businesses have roughly 2 to 3 faucets dripping or running. So that's just increasing our additional water use. That coupled with main breaks, we've had 2 main breaks that we're aware of at this point. One of them in the 800 block of Vaughn, another one at the intersection of Georgetown and Shelby Road. Both of those main breaks have been repaired and are taken care of and have been addressed. But all those things coupled together have resulted in a high demand situation for our water. That issue, coupled with the several issues that we have with our current water system, has put us into the state of needing to put out the boil water notice. I'm going to try to summarize our water system for you. So we have 4 wells. We have a high school well, the police department well, the Columbine well, and the Shelby well. Of those 4 wells, the 2 larger wells are the ones at our police department and Shelby. Those 2 are kind of our high demand and most producing water wells that keep our tower level to where it needs to be. The high school water well and the Columbine water well are smaller wells and they just kind of boost the system. So our our Shelby well and our police department well are the 2 primary well sites that we have. Currently, our Shelby well site, as it stands right now, is not operational at all. Our guys have been out there. They were out there all night last night, and they've been out there all day today. The Paluxy water well pump has gone into failure, and the Trinity water well pump has gone into failure. We have tapped 2 wells at the Shelby well site. Both of those pumps are not operational. We are trying to determine why they're not operational. The guys were out last night running blow torches and things along the metal pipes to make sure that the pipes aren't frozen. Bean Electric was kind enough to donate the use of one of their bucket trucks to us. So the guys were able to get elevated on the exterior pipes and make sure that those lines were all thawed. They've been working on that for hours and hours and hours. They are confident that there is no ice in the system, which is at least in the exposed system above ground. So that's narrowed it down to being 2 other potential issues at those well sites. One either being electrical or 2 being we have frozen pipes underground that connect to the well pump itself. Right now, our public works crews are digging those lines up to run some tests and try to make sure those lines are thawed out underground. And we have a call into our well electrician to come out to see if he can run some tests and see if it's an electrical issue at both those. We just don't know which case it is right now. So our Shelby well site is completely down. It's not pumping any water to our tower. The police department well also has 2 wells tapped, the Paluxy and the Trinity. The Paluxy well headline broke yesterday due to freezing temperatures. So the Paluxy well at the police department is not operational. The Trinity well, however, at the police department is operational. And between the Trinity well, the Columbine well, and the high school well, those are what is keeping our water tower fed. Our tower, when we issued the boil water notice, was at 0 feet. We had no water in the tower at all. Currently, just before this meeting, we checked, it's at 16 feet. The minimum, I'm sorry?
It is increasing.
Yeah, it is increasing. The minimum for the boil water notice is 10 feet. Technically, we could have rescinded the boil water notice last night. I chose not to rescind that notice yet because we don't know what kind of issues we're going to have pop up as the temperatures continue to freeze again tonight. And I don't want to rescind a boil water notice and then have to reissue a boil water notice if another issue comes up and have citizens concerned of whether or not the water was safe for that time being. So we've chosen to not rescind that notice as of yet. The water currently is safe. We're operational. We're doing okay. But we're not going to rescind that notice until we have at least either the Shelby well pump fully operational or the police department well pump fully operational. Our guys have also been out dealing with other various issues on the well pumps to include chlorine feeder lines that have frozen. We had a booster pump failure at the police department well site, possibly because it's frozen. They're working on thawing that out as well. Our Columbine well site had a broken inline backflow preventer. That means that we can run that well for short periods of time, but have to give it breaks. And when we give it breaks, we have to shut down valves, which takes more manpower, because if we don't shut down that valve, what will happen to the water system is it'll actually drain the water back out of our water system back into that well, because that backflow preventer is broken. So at some point, once this is done, we're going to have to come in and replace that backflow preventer. They've had to thaw out frozen pipes at the Columbine well site. And we've also had a broken chlorine solenoid at the Columbine well site. The oldest pump we have, the oldest well site we have, is the high school well site. And that has been the only one that has stayed fully operational. And it's just, it's like the little train that could. He is just chugging right along with no issues. The problem is it just doesn't provide enough volume to keep the tower full and maintain our normal water operations. So we have had our public works guys out. We've had to bring in contractors to assist with both those main breaks due to the temperatures and changing out crews and things. We've been trying to stay very cautious about having our crews out in these extreme temperatures for long periods of time. We don't want anybody to suffer from hypothermia or frostbite, which is a very real risk for these guys as they're out there working with the water. We've had contractors coming in. Our city engineer has been on site working with Ryan. As you all know, Lisa is out due to some extraordinary circumstances, so she hasn't been here. And Ryan, who's the lead water tech for the water department, has done a tremendous job at taking care of these issues and staying on top of things. I'll tell you, I am very proud of our guys. We're not the only city facing water issues. Every city in North Texas is facing water issues. Yeah. But we are actually in much better shape right now than the other municipalities around us. And I'm just hoping and like you were saying, knocking on wood, that we stay that way. So things are looking good, but there is going to be a significant financial impact to the budget on this. Our hope is that we can obtain some assistance from FEMA once this is all done to help offset some of these costs and the impact that it's going to have. A couple of things that I've done is I approved an emergency pay rate for our public works employees that were out working. Essentially, we are paying them, instead of time and a half for overtime due to the extreme temperatures and things, we are paying them double time for the hours that they worked on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Those 4 days, we authorized an emergency pay rate of double time for the public works employees that were actually out on site working those long hours in those temperatures. City Hall is staying in remote operation right now. Our employees are working. They're working from home. Citizens that are calling City Hall are getting connected with employees at home by cell phone. So they're still getting the service and questions and things that they need answered. We're still able to take payments over the phone. We're still processing night drop payments and things. So operations within City Hall, although nobody's really been here other than a couple of admin folks, are still continuing. So we're still tending to the citizens' needs as best as we can. And that's kind of my update as far as the water system. Now, this morning, another infrastructure issue that popped off. Our police department was on patrol about 6 o'clock this morning and discovered a significant amount of water coming out of the front door of the library. Oh. So we contacted the water department, went to go shut the water off, and we did have a pipe burst inside of the library that flooded the library with approximately 2 inches of water. We've shut the power off to the library, removed all the electrical devices on the floor, the power strips and things like that, and called Surf Pro. We were placed into a queue of businesses and residences that need attention for cleanup. They are in a storm management phase. So essentially what happens is we put in that request, we get put on a list, and there's 66 different companies right now that are working this list. And as they get to our name, we get a call from some company and they come out and we'll clean up the site. I just got off the phone with them right before the council meeting now, and they've told me it could be a couple days before they get to us. That's how far back they are. So we have called our Beard's Wrecker Service, which also is a sister company to a hazmat cleanup company, the cleaning guys. And they are sending out a vac truck for us to help our public works guys at least get the majority of the standing water up and out of the library for now. We're still going to need to get a contractor to come in to fully renovate that library floor. We're probably going to have to cut out a couple inches of drywall around the base, get that replaced, assess damage on furniture and things. Most of the books are okay because they're up a few inches off the floor, but we're going to have some damaged furniture, some damaged flooring, and some damaged drywall from the flood. I don't know about cost yet. There's no way to assess or guess what those costs might be, but that'll be an additional damage to our city infrastructure as well.
Well, that carpet's going to have to be pulled out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and it may be ruined by the time we get to that point.
Yes, I agree.
And hopefully some of those expenses to be reimbursed through TML. For those expenses.
TML or what's that?
So
That would be a nice ring tonight.
yeah. Outside of the water department, because of the water issues, not only within our city, but the county and neighboring municipalities, and the risk of high call volume, we have also doubled up on our firefighters on shift. So we actually have 2 crews on duty at a time. They're working essentially like a 36 on, 36 off kind of deal. So we have plenty of firefighters on staff. We're making sure to staff both the tanker truck as well as the engine. So and both ambulances. We've had a few issues over the last couple of days where there's been no ambulances available for mutual aid from other agencies, no fire apparatuses available from other agencies. We have had at least 4 structure fires that I know of that five structure fires that we've responded to, not within Everman. Only one of those was within Everman, but our neighboring agencies and things. So the fire service is very busy right now. So we've doubled up on crews to make sure that we have adequate manpower available to respond in case something does happen here. And we have adequate water supply in case our infrastructure water supply is not available or adequate to address any fires that we have. So we are trying to address all issues on all fronts. There is going to be a staff debriefing once this is done that we're going to invite the mayor to assess maybe where we went wrong, what could we have done better to prepare for some winter weather events. And we've already identified several things that we need to address once this is all said and done. After that debriefing, we'll prepare a report, and obviously we'll present that report back to City Council with recommendations on what the city likely needs to invest in to prevent these issues from happening in the future. So with that, that's kind of the update. That's where we stand right now. Our crews are still actively working. And essentially, once we get either the police department well fully operational or the Shelby well fully operational, whichever comes first, we will look to rescind that boil water notice. So I'll answer any questions that you guys might have.
Do we have private insurance or is that through TML?
It's through TML.
Okay. My next question is, do we have any residents that are without electricity that you know of?
We have had a couple that have reported that, but the 2 that I know of that reported it have had alternate places to go stay. So we haven't had to address any needs there. We have not had any mass reports of power loss within the city limits. We have shared via social media warming sites in case that does arise for residents to be able to go to. And we're always prepared in the event of power loss to address any residents within the city that may rely upon medical needs. We have backup generators available. We have spare oxygen available. So if we have residents within the city that have specific medical needs that rely on electricity, we're always ready to address those issues from the fire department standpoint.
You got any questions? Now's the time to ask them.
So afterwards, after this is over, you will give us a list of all of the equipment that we will need to purchase. You mentioned something about a bag flow, something that was being borrowed or something.
Yeah, so we'll definitely provide a list of all the expenditures that are going to be associated with it. So all the well problems I mentioned, we're not going to have a choice but to address those issues right now. We're going to have to bring contractors in and get these items fixed as quickly as we possibly can to maintain our water system as is. So we'll have a report that shows this is what cost and this is what we had to get right now due to the emergency. And then after this is all said and done, probably about a week, 2 weeks from now, we'll do a staff debriefing with the heads of the water department, street department, fire department, police department, the mayor, myself, finance, and we're going to do essentially what we call an after action review. And we're going to talk about all the things that we could have done better. What did we miss? What equipment did we discover that we needed? Some of those items just offhand are things like tire chains. Our fire apparatuses don't have tire chains or cables, and that's caused us some issues. Our sand spreader for our pothole truck is dependent upon hydraulic fluid, which is frozen and not operational. So we have not been able to adequately treat our roadways the way we would have liked to. So we need to invest in some alternative there to spreading sand or salt on our roadways. And things like that. So that stuff will be included with an after action review report, which will be presented to council. And then once this is all done, you'll get a report essentially that breaks down the impact of this winter weather emergency and the cost to that. That same report that council will get will be the same report that we submit through the emergency management office at the county to FEMA that'll apply for financial assistance to help cover and offset those costs.
Well, we know how much wells cost every time we have one break, so.
Yes.
Well,
it's
and they're all broken.
very expensive.
Yes.
Craig, I just want to say thank you so much for being so informative. You've been so good to our city as chief and manager. I really do appreciate you. I think this emergency meeting that we have with all this information is really good. And we are very blessed to have you, knowing that you have taken care of every aspect, especially our city employees that are working hard for our community, for our people. So I do appreciate you. Hopefully things do get better. And once we get this report, we'll be better prepared the next time. I know everything is cost, related, but, we just never know when things like this do happen. So I do appreciate you and our council and everybody involved. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, but I mean, the credit shouldn't be due to me. It's due to the smarter people below me that know what they're doing. Our guys are out there. Our guys are out there doing a really good job.
Yes, they are.
They're handling business very well, even without Lisa. They have stepped up and done a tremendous job. Ryan's done a tremendous job, and as he said earlier, he had to go to the School of Hard Knocks right now, and he's learning a lot of things as he's trying to fix them. But he's doing a phenomenal job.
That's called on-the-job training.
Yes, it is. He is getting very good on-the-job training right now.
He
Well,
won't forget this.
Like Craig said too, the bright side is that with all the declarations in place, that does line us up to at least get some of our money back. And hopefully that our cost for our wells and stuff would be included in that, since it was created by the weather.
Yeah, any damage that is usually associated with a disaster declaration will qualify for FEMA assistance. I can tell you our budget is not designed as it is right now to handle these damages. We're going to have to apply for assistance to be able to cover these.
Any questions?
Nope. Nice job, chief.
Good job.
Well, Craig, the only thing I want to say is I want to commend you and our police, fire, EMS, and public works guys for keeping our city up and running. So I know me and you have talked or met on a daily basis, and we've had some where you're just trying to keep our butt out of the fire. So
Yes.
We've been close, but everything has stayed functioning. So like I said, more than most cities have been able to do. So I just want to commend you and your guys for everything you've done. So, but
Thank you, sir.
anything else?
No.
All right.
We will, as we move forward, once we get one of the wells up, I'll be sure to send out Evertel messages and emails and try to keep everybody informed. Our biggest vehicle for informing everybody is always our social media, our Facebook, and our CTY. So we'll use both of those in conjunction with each other, and make sure to try to keep everybody well informed of where we're at.
I hate to say it, but with our library, when the roads clear up enough for our employees, library employees can get over there, we probably need to start bagging up or boxing up some of them books and maybe get them across the street.
Yeah, we'll have to.
And because you got to move bookshelves
Yep.
in order for them to get that stuff done. So maybe we can get ahead of it before the crews get here to clean up.
Right.
So,
It's a mess.
We've been in contact with the library staff, so.
okay. Are you there, Mindy?
Doesn't look like she's connected to audio. Let me call her real quick.
I didn't get a CTY that said boil water notice. I think I got one in Spanish.
There was one that went right after that one.
Yeah, you should have there were 2 sent out in English and 1 sent out in Spanish. We put it on our,
I got both.
put it on our website and social media as well.
Well, I
Yeah.
knew it was coming,
Yeah.
but I didn't get the CTY in English.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. No comments, Mayor.
Okay, so we have no citizens' comments. So with that being said, we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
Stay safe, everyone. Bye.